Okay.
All right. So let me find where I was again.
So what are you beginning to think about for the day of the observation?
So I'm thinking about the opinion writing to do while you're watching. So my question was, throughout the week, as I've been having different things for them to talk about, like the homeschool and the in-school, and then before that one, it was like Fortnite versus Minecraft, and we'll talk about that. But every day, so let's say we come back on Tuesday, Fortnite and Minecraft, we'll discuss it, and then I'm having them kind of list before we go on to full sentences. Then the next day, it'll be write a sentence, and then write maybe 3 or 5 sentences about it. But I'm wondering if I should keep it the same, like what they're talking about, same verses, instead of changing it every time.
You mean same versus with
So
the
like
same,
if I was
compare and
doing,
contrast?
if I was doing
Or-
in home and at school, should I keep it that the whole week? Or do you think changing it up every day, having new topics, is too much?
So how are you breaking up the concept of opinion? So one is, I hear you saying that they're describing the things that they're gonna have opinions about, and then what's the next stage after that?
The next, so I will introduce, I have, where is it at? Oh, it's on Teams, I forgot. Oh no, what is this? No, oh, there it is. I have a picture, it's a poster that actually the other second grade teacher has about the opinions. So actually Tuesday, we'll talk more about it before we jump into that first slide about, the verses, so they could talk about it. So at least we have like the words that we can use and stuff like that to make the foundations. And then the second day, I would like to do an anchor chart and have them tell me, okay, what words do we remember that we can say when we're making a list of things and stuff like that. And then maybe, so that would be that, and then the sentence, them talking about it, and maybe I don't know how they'll feel about it, but I would like to have, like, let's say Fortnite people on this side, Minecraft people on this side. We could take turns on why, what they think. Yeah, that's as far as I got.
So for this, so are they currently in the writing about Fortnite, or had they completed that one, or
For when this is happening, or like right now?
right now, and then this is the one you're thinking of doing next week?
The whole opinion concept will be next week.
Oh, okay.
We haven't even jumped into that.
Oh,
just
so you
yet.
haven't even jumped into
No,
the
this will
word
this is
opinion.
just for future
Okay.
stuff.
So currently, they've been practicing kind of comparing and contrasting
Yeah.
things, and then you're adding your building.
Yes.
Is that what I hear you saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So where are they currently with their descriptions of the two? Are they?
Well, we haven't discussed these ones. We've done compare and contrast in stories that we've done. They're able to identify, similarities and differences. The ones that are similar, why are they similar? How do they go together? What makes them different? And we're also going to build more on that after the opinion writing with another story to compare and contrast about Earth's resources and stuff like that. So that's what they already have some exposure to that, and then we'll build more on it the following week.
So maybe we should look at the standard, their
Okay.
first grade writing, because it's the writing lesson. So let's look at the first grade writing standards, and maybe that'll give us some
second grade.
guidance.
So this is second grade. So I have the opinion right here. So it's write opinion pieces in which they introduce the topic, state an opinion, supply reasons, and then it has the words because and also to connect the opinion, statement or section.
So maybe we write out all of, because those are several different pieces. So maybe
Okay.
let's write out the things. So they have to state the topic. Let's write out all of. You want to write it on the
Yeah,
top
let me
there?
get
Okay.
let me get to it.
You can use my pen. I have pens. That's one thing they have lots of.
I know, I have nice pens at my house and I keep telling myself, bring your pens.
You
I
can be
keep
forgetting.
Oh, okay, nice, thank you.
Gracias.
Ooh, this is a nice pen.
Very nice pen. Okay, so step one, they have to introduce the topic
Mhm.
they're writing about.
Introduce the topic.
And then what's the next part?
State the opinion, right? State opinion. Supply reasons. Use linking words. Oops. And then connect the opinions for the statement. Okay.
Connect opinion
Mhm.
and reasons.
Then have a concluding statement.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm looking at it like this, now I'm thinking maybe I should just stay on to one thing. If I want to build on it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So if we introduce the topic, Monday we talk about Fortnite, Minecraft, they can state their opinion and then talk about it. And the next day we can write down reasons of why, and probably using linking
So I
verbs.
prefer, so what would that sound like? What would a successful, or, a student who's doing these steps, what's an example of what that might sound like with the Minecraft example, for instance?
So I would show them the Minecraft versus, or Minecraft and Fortnite, what they like. So a student, the success criteria would be, the student would say, I like Fortnite, and then supply reasons because, oh, yes, and then you're using the linking verbs because the graphics are a lot better than Minecraft.
Mm-hmm.
And then connecting the opinion and reasons. So the graphics are a lot better than Minecraft. It is easier for me to, it's visually like more appealing, and I'm able to play better when it's a clearer view than it is in Minecraft. So I would be connecting it all together. And because the graphics are a lot better in Fortnite, I enjoy playing it, and that's why I like Fortnite more than Minecraft.
Okay, right, okay. So thinking about that progression, what are the prerequisite skills that that your kids would need in order to be able to do that?
So they'll need to be able to write, well, not just write, be able to form a sentence, have that sentence structure, or even just formulate even if they just tell me, and be able to express their opinion or their thoughts about it. They understand what the linking words are, so they already know what because means. They know what also means. They'll use it in their everyday language anyways. I would say be able to write letters. I don't want to say write words because some of them can't write words on their own. But at least if there's a starter sentence, they're able to copy and write it down, and stuff like that. I think there's a word for that. I can't remember what it was. But that would be the requisites before this. And I guess understand when I show them the verses, whatever it's called.
Abbreviation.
Yeah, abbreviation. That they'll understand, like, oh, that's verses where comparing the two.
Mm-hmm.
Which one do you like better?
Mm-hmm.
And they'll understand what opinion means.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess maybe not that, because we'll talk more about that. But they'll understand the concept, because we do talk a lot in just general sense.
Mm-hmm.
Of like, oh, why do you like
Do
that?
you generally use the word opinion?
I don't know if
Mhm.
I do.
Mm-hmm.
I probably don't.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that we've had conversations, certain things like that. If they're eating hot Cheetos, I'm like, oh, do you like that one more than the one with lime?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of
Mhm.
saying, what's your
Yeah,
opinion,
what's-
you know? And then they'll like, oh yeah, I like this one. I don't really like the
Mhm.
lime, blah blah blah. So yeah, I know that we've had general just conversations of this, but I probably haven't used opinion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's something that you could integrate into
Yeah.
lots of different areas if you just maybe include the vocabulary.
Yeah,
So then when they see it in this context.
yeah.
they'll
Like,
be
what's
more
your
familiar.
opinion about
Mhm.
that?
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay, so you've told me that so far they've had some experience with just kind of comparing and contrasting or writing details about things.
Mhm.
And then are you saying that next week they'll start getting introduced to the idea of opinion writing?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if we were going to take the standard then and break it into steps,
Mhm.
because all of this, wouldn't be necessarily from one lesson,
Yeah.
then how far would you like to get in the next step that you'll be working on next week? Do you think would be reasonable?
Like how to split it up with
Mhm.
throughout the week,
Or,
or when you come to observe.
well, we'll get to that
Okay.
because we'll figure out where you will be by that day,
Mhm.
by Thursday. But first, if they're maybe just being introduced to writing, they might only get to this
Mm.
part. But if you think that they can actually get to this part,
Mhm.
then we get there, and then maybe this could be,
Yeah.
because it can be broken up
Okay.
into more than one lesson,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Like how long is your teaching sequence for opinion? Is it like a?
I would like to work on it throughout the week,
Mm-hmm.
but not so concrete to where we're spending like 2 hours
Yeah.
of the
Mhm.
day on it. First day, obviously, dipping their toes into it. We'll
Mhm.
talk about it,
Mhm.
not for too long. We'll talk about what opinion is. And then the next day, we'll talk more in depth. Like, I want to know more reasons of why instead of
Mhm.
like, oh, because it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, why do you think it's cool? We'll get, so that
Mhm.
could be like the second day on, okay, so we'll probably have an anchor chart. Now that I think about it, or that anchor chart. And they'll just kind of like tell me, we'll bullet point it. So if they say it's cool, I like it, it's fun, and then we can visit it again the next day and say, okay, well, let's expand on that. Why is it cool? Why do
Mhm.
you think? Those who said that Fortnite's cool,
Mhm.
cooler than Minecraft, well, why do you think? And then we can write down some reasons
Mhm.
why.
And maybe encourage them to use.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
and yeah. So that will be. So this would probably be around day one. Day one, talking about what opinion is, and talk about words that link to when talking about opinion.
Mhm.
And then once we get to here, to the second day when we're writing our reasons, we can look back at it and say, well, let's use our word because. Why is it? It's cool because, and I'll probably
Mhm.
use different marker and stuff like that. So that could be around the second day for this part. And then,
So this one
Mhm.
particular writing
Mhm.
about Fortnite, you want to take them, that you want a complete opinion writing that encompasses all these standards. Is that
Yeah.
is that your goal?
that would be my goal. I would like by Friday that they can write at least 3 to 5 sentences with what their opinion is, why that's their opinion, and the concluding statement or connecting it.
Okay, so you want 3 to 5 sentences.
Yeah, for the end game. So 3 to
Mhm.
5 sentences. They state their opinion because we've already I already would have introduced it, so they're aware of that. So at the
Mhm.
end,
Well, they're, in this standard, when they sit down to write, they're gonna introduce the topic, right? And they're, is it
Oh,
their
okay,
topic
okay.
sentence,
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
think?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So topic sentence.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So the conversation happens and you're charting a bunch of information so that they have a reference to go to when they sit down to write their writing.
Mhm.
And then your expectation, I think I heard you say, is that they'll write 3 to 5 sentences.
Mhm.
Is that total for the complete writing, or is it
For the-
3, like, for instance, are they saying, you know, Fortnite is cool because it has good graphics. I also like that it has like 3 details.
Oh.
Or are you just
Mhm.
saying total for this? So there's the topic sentence, 1 opinion statement, and maybe a reason, and then
And
a
then-
concluding sentence. Is that what you're
So
thinking?
maybe 4 to 5 sentences. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I wasn't counting this, but yeah.
Okay.
So now 4 to 5 sentences, or even more if they
Mhm.
can.
Yeah,
But
4 or
4
more.
would
Say
be
4 or more.
yeah.
Okay.
4 would be the least.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that some of my students will be struggling with just writing one sentence. We'll work on that. Yeah, so 4 or more for the end game. They have to have an intro, state their opinion, reasons why. I mean, that could be 3. And then reasons and connecting it. I mean, that could be worked into depending on how they word it.
Number 3 and number 4.
And number 5.
I'm thinking.
Or maybe 5 and 6 could be, depending on how they word it, into one sentence.
I think this. I don't know. I'm thinking this might be a separate.
Have to be a
sentence,
separate.
Yeah, because it's connecting the opinion to reasons.
Yeah.
And this is the opinion reason,
Mm-hmm.
which these 3 are connected.
Oh, okay, yeah. So then, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I
this
like
is where it was
Fortnite
connected.
Because, and then the
Yeah,
reason,
yeah.
and then graphics are important, like using your because
Yeah.
it helps you. Whatever.
Okay,
It makes
yes.
me feel.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so then it works. Yeah.
Okay.
4 sentences.
Mhm.
And then they'll have to use these words.
Mhm.
Obviously, I want to see that.
Mhm.
Um,
I like it. It's exciting,
Yeah.
huh?
yeah. And detailed reasons, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
not just, I think it's cool. My brother plays it.
Mhm.
It's like, well, why do you think it's cool? Not because your brother plays it.
So one thing I'm wondering, I know we in our district like to use the model I do, we do,
Mhm.
you do.
Mhm.
So looking at this writing as a process, what would be the
I do.
model than the we're doing together?
Mhm.
Maybe then because this is
Yeah.
your ultimate goal is they're kind of independent, but it's guided a little
Yeah.
bit. So what do you think?
So the I do, I would say, is when I would bring out the, I have a picture of the opinion chart,
Mm-hmm.
and it has kind of like a starter and the words that you would use, and I'm pretty sure it explains what opinion is. So I would be doing more of the talking to them, explaining what it looks like, and then the we do, I mean, it would be kind of different every day, but the we do in general would be when I have them, okay, well, when we do the anchor chart together,
Mm-hmm.
we'll be the we do, and there'll probably be maybe two anchor charts in different days. What's your opinion? Why do you think? Okay, and then let's expand on that. That's what we will do with the guidance. And then what they would do is when they write it on their own in their own journals,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll start writing, like if they're just supplying reasons on that, it's cool. I'll have them also write what we have on the anchor chart in their own journal, so they'll have it there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll call on kids to share with what they wrote, and we'll put it on the anchor chart.
Mm-hmm.
So at least we'll have their reasons, and then we'll do that. And so what they will do is they'll do their own writing. I usually come around and help those who need help with writing.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll be doing the writing on their own. They'll tell me what they're thinking of. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
what are you thinking of? What kind of sentence are you trying to put together? Okay, there you go. That's what you just said. Copy it, write it down. There you go. So I
Do
think,
you, knowing your students, do you think they are ready for that level of synthesis independently?
some, yes. Others, they can express it,
Mm-hmm.
but writing it down is where they get discouraged.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of them, not a lot of them, but some of my students can't or struggle with reading,
Mm-hmm.
and they struggle with, because they can't, or they struggle with reading, it's hard for them to write.
Mm-hmm.
So even just writing a sentence or anything, it'll be just more of gibberish.
Mm-hmm.
So they would have more struggle with probably the end game of doing it on their own.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be more of them telling me, I dictate, they copy.
Mm-hmm. That
So
was
that
my
would be-
question too. Like for
Okay.
those students who, what's the scaffold for the students who are struggling to independently write composed sentences?
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna allow them to dictate to you,
Yeah.
and then they write.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I usually, when they do that, I always show them, I'm like, okay, this is what you told me. I said, da, 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
And they would say, mm-hmm. I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
there you go.
So for students in the class who maybe even who can putting their thoughts together, what I'm hearing is that you're gonna have the I do part is the charting, but then it's a whole nother skill for them to take all of those different pieces and compose their independent writing. So I'm wondering if there's a way that you can do the whole process in a way like a think out loud as an I do maybe, and then maybe as a class our we do could be something where if you thought of a topic where as a class you could say, you know, what's something that we like to do as a class, and we compose the whole thing together,
Okay.
and then we move on to now let's talk about your opinion about
Oh,
Fortnite, you know what I
okay.
mean? So you kind of model the whole process, like
Okay.
it
yeah,
could be
yeah.
something you say about your, I really like
That's a good idea.
something, and then
Yeah.
that's your I do, and you can think out loud
So
and
they,
write out a thing and you
Mhm.
talk them through the process,
yeah.
and then this next step would be we do together. So collectively, I can't think of something like we like to have PE inside or outside.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, let's say, let's see, our group's opinion is we like doing, indoor PE.
Mhm.
Well, let's talk about all the reasons why. Okay, our class likes indoor PE better than da-da-da-da
Yeah.
because, and we compose it together.
Okay.
And the
yeah.
because and the connect our opinion.
And they'll have the
they
general-
see it, and that's our class project.
Okay.
And then maybe move on to, okay, now
Independent.
we're gonna.
I
you
like
know.
that one better.
Mhm.
Yeah, to split up the week like that instead of we'll just kind of drag it out. I like that.
Because I'm wondering if, the level to take all those independent
Yeah.
pieces and synthesize it into a whole
Mm-hmm.
writing, there's a lot of steps to that. And
Yeah.
maybe I don't know, you know your class better if they're ready for that or if they need to see it modeled a few times.
I think the modeling would be a lot better.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm right there. Model. opinions. Yeah, and then I'll have to think about something that I know majority will
Mhm.
agree on,
Mhm.
and then we'll talk about it.
So maybe day one then would look like, what do you think now, thinking about what we just talked about?
Would be this.
Mhm.
Day one, I would say modeling
Mhm.
more. I'll think of a topic that they can agree on. Majority. Agree. Agreed. And then we'll do that. And it'll be like a little snippet. It won't be super long thing. So after we
But
do
it
the
would be helpful
topic.
if the same process that
Yeah.
you're gonna walk them through to get to their writing,
Mhm.
you follow that, if this is,
Yeah.
I don't know if you do the I do and the we do, or at least you do the we do,
Mhm.
then we're gonna compose this sample
Mm-hmm.
together, and now then they go and they start to do,
Mhm.
then you,
So the I do would be of that whole introduction of what opinion is and the linking words, that poster thing that I have,
mhm,
and then we can talk about the topic and then do the more of these steps.
mhm,
just call it steps, and do it together, whole class.
And, they can give their input
Yeah.
and have them talk about it. And they're like, oh, and this, and how many reasons you want to look. I mean, this could be an exemplar, like,
Mhm.
a couple, like,
Yeah.
like it because this and this is,
I wonder if
yeah.
teachers have examples, like just maybe something that they just have. What's that called? When you,
Like a frame.
yeah,
Mhm.
something that just to get ideas from, and then so I can, because I have a hard time of condensing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'll just start rambling,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what my mentor teacher. His one little comment is that I ramble.
Mm-hmm.
I have to
Mm-hmm.
shorten it up.
So condensing,
Mm-hmm.
if that's a concern, maybe because this is, information hopefully pulled from the students.
Mm-hmm.
You can chart all of the things, but then find out what the ones that, which one do we think is kind of the most important one, and then just kind of hold yourself to like
Mm-hmm.
2 examples, so
Yeah.
that you just work on 2 sentences, for
Yeah.
instance, like it's great because of this, and it's
Mhm.
great because of that,
Yeah.
or whatever. But it's okay,
Mhm.
like, just like when we're brainstorming,
Yeah.
to have lots of ideas and get them all out on paper,
Yeah.
and then we want to go back and put in
Yeah.
focus on the key ones.
And one thing too is I get caught up in their questions. So I
Mhm.
always I catch myself. I'm like, wait a minute. I spent way too much time on answering all your questions and explaining, and I have like, okay, we have to come back to the lesson
Mhm.
plan. So that's one of the things that I do too.
Okay, so are the questions on the topic, or sometimes
They're
are they
usually on the
off
topic.
Okay.
So if we're talking about this, they'll be like, well, an opinion I would think is this and that. Well, what if you use this? Well, why would you use because on that? And I would say I like that, but I don't really like it all the time. I don't play it all the time.
Mhm.
So it's just a tangent.
Mhm.
And then others are like, oh, well, that sparks an interest for me. I remember something. Let me share it. And
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
becomes a thing.
Mhm. So maybe I'll put that here,
Mhm.
just if maybe that's an area that you want me to look at when pay attention
See if
to
I
for you.
ramble. Yeah.
When if that's a concern of yours, then I can pay attention to that
Mhm.
during the observation. It's up
Yeah.
to you.
Okay. Yeah. See if I ramble
Mhm.
and stuff. Because I want to make sure I get everybody's, because
Mhm.
then they'll swear up and down to me like, but it's a question. It's really important. And I'm like, okay, what it is. Well, last summer, God, you got
Uh-huh.
me. Like, it wasn't a question.
So I wonder, do you think that some of that has to do with kids who want just to talk and just to be heard, or?
Possibly. I think once they get an idea,
Mhm.
they gotta say it,
Mhm. Mhm.
and then I fall into the trap.
So can you think of any strategies that might allow them to get that out without it having to be directed at you or take over the class, the whole class time?
I mean, I would say they could probably tell their partner next to them and do it that way. Yeah. Just like a moment, just
Mhm.
kind of get it out.
Mhm.
That would probably be, I would say that would be the most not time consuming, time
Efficient.
Yes,
maybe?
efficient.
Mhm.
efficient
Mhm.
way of doing it.
So as you're writing the lesson, maybe writing it out,
Have it there.
you can think about where you might want to include those opportunities so that they
Yeah.
get all that.
I'll write that down.
Yeah.
Think.
And that reminds me of the PD we just had about common formative assessment, time for them to
Yeah.
stop and process and talk and listen in, so
Mhm.
that kind of links to that too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we'll do that. Okay.
Okay,
what
so
to
how
think
are you
about.
feeling about?
I feel better about it.
Mhm.
Because at first I know the second grade other teachers, they've already done the opinion stuff and they have a general idea of how they're doing it, and it sounded like they're kind of doing it how I was doing it,
Mhm.
but just organizing it for me on just
Mhm.
like how, right? Because there were so many steps on how to
Mhm.
kind of chunk it and spread it out.
Mhm.
So I think this helped me see it more, how I can chunk it to
Mhm.
where it's more beneficial for them when they learn.
Mhm.
Because I don't, because I feel so, like I didn't do my job when they're like, what?
Mhm.
What's happening? Or if I forget something because I'm not this organized, I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, I should have talked
Mhm.
about that. Oh, no, let's go back. And,
Yeah.
oh, God.
Like, oh, opinion, I forgot to. Yeah. It
Yeah.
happens all the time. It's like, yeah, we've got to remember to break it down.
Yeah.
Break it way, 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 way
Yes.
down. Yeah. So yeah, let's see how, and you can see how far you get in the lesson. Like you
Mhm.
said, you want the lessons to be a certain amount of time to hold their
Yeah.
attention. So if you don't get to maybe this part right
Mhm.
away, it's okay to put
Save
it away
it.
and go back to
Yeah.
this part and add that. Because will they have an opportunity to do opinion writings multiple times? Or just like
In that day,
or no, over the next few weeks
Oh, yeah,
or months or
yeah.
whatever. Okay, is this like something they're working
Yeah,
on for the semester?
I'm
or?
assuming so.
Okay.
When I talk to the other second grade teachers,
Mhm.
but they're definitely starting this
Mhm.
next week.
Mhm.
So that's what I'm doing. So it's not like this is the last time we're going to talk about it.
Mhm.
If I don't get to, the
I'm being, yeah.
this by the end of the week,
Mhm.
then we'll just kind of. I mean, also depends on how they're absorbing it. If it's too much, then I'll probably have to even break it down more
Mhm.
and kind of spread it
And
out.
go back, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And go backwards.
Cool. I think we did a lot. Okay,
Yeah.
so our subject is going to be writing.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
And your standard was 2.1.
2.1.
Writing 2.1. Awesome. And we talked about the prior knowledge of the students.
Mhm.
So they've been working on the details of the topic.
Yeah.
And their linking words.
Mhm.
Okay, good. And so we talked a little bit about the organization of the learning. So you're going to first start whole class.
Yeah.
And do a whole class process all the way
Yeah.
through, and then to independent.
Yeah.
To writing their independent writing. Awesome. And what technology and other resources are you going to be using for this lesson?
PowerPoint,
Mm-hmm.
the TV, my computer. I think that's it, because then they'll have their pencils and they'll have their paper. I mean, the sharpener. I don't know if you want to count that.
And they'll have you said they have writing journals?
Yes, they have writing journals and writing tools.
Okay. Oh, for this lesson,
Mhm.
can you think about any additional support your English learners might need?
My English learners, for the ones I specifically have, they're pretty well versed with English. They'll need help with some words. I've noticed that I do have a level 1 ELD student, but I've noticed that he's able to write without my assistance. He was able to write a sentence, but there was some words that he needed help with. So I guess just writing out
Mm-hmm.
the sentence
Mm-hmm.
or some certain words, it might sound funny to him,
Mm-hmm.
so I clear that up.
Mm-hmm.
But most of my other ELD students, they're able to write sentences on their own. They may need help with a couple of words, but
Mm-hmm.
they're pretty good with writing a sentence.
Do you think your EL1 student would need any additional support with any of the vocabulary that's involved in this lesson or the writing standard?
Maybe opinion. I'll probably double check with that student
Mm-hmm.
and just to make sure that he understands what opinion really
Mhm.
means. Because just because I'm talking about it
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's really.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll probably ask him. I'll just throw just a topic out there, just
Mhm.
like with the hot Cheetos and the lime.
Mhm.
Like, what's your opinion on that? What do you
Mhm.
think? And then see if he can respond to me in a way that's appropriate.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Nice. And then what would be the work sample that we'll have at the end of this process?
Like, what would it look like?
Mm-hmm.
It would be 4-sentence minimum. If it's more, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to include the intro topic, state their opinions, supply reasons using linking verbs, connect those opinions and the reasons, and have a concluding statement. And it should make sense.
Yeah.
It should
Mhm.
flow. I'm looking for no tangents that are going to be like, my brother plays this, and my brother played for this many hours, and then his girlfriend came over. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes that happens there. It's like, okay, let's get back to the topic.
Mhm.
So that's what I'm looking for, not getting away from the topic, sticking to it, specifically what we're talking about.
Mhm. So maybe how can you set them up for that level of focus maybe when you're doing your I do and we do?
Like, to show them what the success criteria looks like.
Kind of like you want them to stay on top. What you're
Mhm.
explaining is to stay focused on the topic.
How do I get them to
Yeah,
stay
so
focused?
can you model that? Is there a way that you could model that when you're doing the?
I think if we were doing it the model part,
Mm-hmm.
I can probably make like a mistake and
Mhm.
just like start going on a tangent and see, oh well, let's read back on this. Am I staying on topic? Da, da, da. And they're like, no, you're talking about ice cream now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, okay, well maybe I should, I'll scratch that off and
Mm-hmm.
we'll retrack. There, how about now? Yeah, that looks better. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then as they're writing, or as we're going through it together as a whole class, I can check with each student and see. I do have a couple of students that I already know off the bat will probably go in a tangent, and just kind of remind them like, well, what about this part?
Mm-hmm.
And stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Sounds good. So we'll model staying on topic
Yeah.
and start using those reminders about what it means. You know,
Yeah.
that's a skill that you want to teach, model, and
Yeah.
teach because we'll write how we talk, and sometimes when we're talking
Yeah.
we do that too.
Yeah.
Okay, that looks good. What other information? So we talked about time of day. It's going to be what time would you like me about to be here?
9 o'clock. I would say
Okay.
9 o'clock is a good one.
Okay. When do you usually start the lesson? Do you think be at this?
Probably about 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Because we'll do calendar 8:30. Calendar usually lasts till 8:45. Yeah. So I would say around 9 o'clock would be good.
Would you be comfortable with me coming like 8:30 just
No,
so I
that's
can
fine.
get set
No,
up and
that's
make
fine.
sure that everything's fine,
Yeah.
but we know the lesson will start later. Okay. And that's good. Okay, so now let's looking at so we have our the student standard that we're working on. So now looking at the CSTPs, what area would you like to?
I was
focus
looking
on?
at this one,
Mhm.
and I was specifically looking at these ones at the bottom.
4.4, planning instruction that incorporates appropriate strategies and deeper learning.
Because I want to make sure that what I'm doing, I'm doing it in a variety of different ways. For those who, just don't learn by a lecture, they want to
Mhm.
do, or maybe they want to write or read. So I want to make sure I'm able to be diverse in
Mhm.
that
Mm-hmm.
to meet certain learning needs of my students.
So you want to use a variety of strategies for your different learners. So the data that you'd like me to collect then would be to just notice or identify what strategies you're using?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you notice you're like, well, I only saw one,
Mhm.
then I would want to know them like, oh, okay, because I thought I had a several or something
Mhm.
like that, and
Mhm.
to see.
First, and then you were saying maybe 4.5?
Yeah.
Adopting instructional plans and programs to meet that assess learning needs of all students.
So I'm assuming with that part, can that be like in the moment adapting? Okay. Because I do a lot of that sometimes. I'll notice I'm like, okay, you guys aren't getting it this way. Let's switch it up. What can I do instead?
Okay. So what types of formative assessments, I'll use that word. Were you in that PD?
For yes,
Yeah,
yep.
last whatever. So what types of strategies are you going to use to check to get feedback from students on whether they're getting it incrementally?
I would say it's formative assessment. Because I could do informal assessment, no problem. But now,
Well, formative is important.
Okay.
It can be informative.
Okay.
Yeah, formative. If it's common formative, then that's the one where you have to.
Oh,
point it
okay.
out. But formative is just how are you checking in with the students to make in the moment decisions on whether the students are.
okay, I would be what's that word? There's a name for it. I don't know why I'm blanking right now.
Okay.
But basically, when I'm asking them,
Friday.
yes, I'm already on break.
Yeah, I
When I'm asking them questions and just listening how they're responding back to it to see, and I'm like, oh, okay, you might not really understand what opinion is just yet. There's a word for that, and I can't remember. Open-ended questions.
Okay.
There it is.
Open-ended.
Open-ended questions, and then observing how they're writing. If we're at that point, to seeing how they're writing, if they're following what we talked about, staying on topic, they're talking about their opinions. So I say observations, informal observations, and open-ended questions, and things like that.
Okay.
I would say think and prayer share as one too. We'll try it. And see if they stay on topic. They do have a tendency to talk about other things.
Okay. So do you want me to look for those kind of formative
Yeah.
assessment strategies too?
See if I
Okay.
used it or
Okay.
did I blank out. I do that a lot.
Okay, sounds good. So we're gonna work on the 4.4 and 4.5.
Yeah.
Look at that. Okay. Let's see. I think we did. I think that's all of the things. Do you have any questions for me or anything else you're thinking about?
No, I think that's good. How soon do you want? I mean, I'll work on it tonight. Because we are gonna meet that Thursday of next week, right? Was it that next week or was it the week after? No, it was next week.
So next Thursday.
Lesson observation.
Yeah, I'll come in for that day.
And then post.
And then the post is the next day on Friday.
Oh, the next day on Friday.
Yeah, and then we'll just
okay, that's
debrief.
right.
That'll just be the debrief of what I saw. If we're not ready, we can maybe push it back because I'm going to video the lesson. So if you want to have a chance to look at the video first, then maybe I send it to you and then we meet later.
I gotcha.
Because
now that we broke it down more, I don't think I'll have it done by tonight. Because now I want to plan more throughout the week and see where I land at on Thursday. And then I can have more of a lesson plan for you. So what would be the latest to get you that lesson plan so that you have a general idea of what's going on that day?
Yeah, I'd say Wednesday night.
Okay.
As long as I can print it and have it with me so that I can follow where we are. So that's perfectly fine with me.
Okay.
But if you want to shoot it to me sooner, like even if you lay this out and you'd like me to just kind of look through it, I'd love to do that too. I can do that. That'd be good too.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so I think I know. So for you, because I want to know what what you feel is your success indicators for these two things to make sure that when I'm watching for what you. So I hear you saying you want me to look at the different strategies, maybe if you're visual, auditory, like engagement strategies, right?
Yeah.
And kind of make note of that. And then kind of similarly, what type of formative assessments or check-ins with the students
Yeah.
you're doing.
Because I feel like sometimes when I'm up there and I'm teaching, like I said, I ramble. So I get too caught up in what I'm saying or what a student has asked a question, and then I start getting in depth with that. And like with my ELD level 1 student, he's going to start to zone out. And I want to try to keep it to where I guess notice if I'm able to get, I don't even know how to explain it. I struggle with trying to keep their attention with what I'm doing, and I feel like my problem area is maybe I don't have enough strategies for this to keep them all engaged. I'm keeping attention on certain ones, they're engaged, they're listening to what I'm saying, they have opinions, we're talking about things, but others are zoned out. So I guess on how to reach those, I'll try this week or for next week, that lesson, add in things to support this, because this will be like our main thing. And hopefully keep them engaged to where they can absorb what I'm talking about.
Do you have a list of different strategies or whatever that you'd like to incorporate in your instruction?
I'm pretty sure I do. I don't have like ideas right now at the moment.
Yeah, so sometimes it might be helpful when you, especially in this process, since you'll be writing out a formal lesson, you could actually think ahead and insert where I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to do a think, pair, share, or I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to have them turn and tell this part, or I'm going to, insert them so that it, especially at this age group, you've got to kind of, you might need to include that. So that might be something you think about as you're typing that, like where can you incorporate those types of strategies. So do you want to stick here with the planning and instructional plans, or do you think that's more over here in the engagement side?
Maybe this one. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. I've got lots. I can print out a million of these.
Maybe this one too. So I think that kind of sums up what I was talking about. I thought it was more up here, but no, like this makes more sense.
So which one do you want me to be?
I guess
over here or over here?
I guess here now that we talked about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so using a variety of strategies and resources to meet students' diverse needs and monitoring student learning and adjusting instruction while teaching.
So that's the adapting, right? So if I notice some kids zoning out, then trying to adjust the lesson to where everybody's engaged. Okay.
Okay, so I'll be looking for those types of things. Okay. Yeah. I could see a little overlap, but yeah, I think that from what you're saying, it sounds like this
specific.
Is more, yeah. Okay, looks good. Alrighty, I hope you found this helpful.
I think so. Yeah. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and it sounds like this is a long instructional process.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to be here for a little tiny snippet of it.
Okay.
So whatever piece of that part that I'm here for, it's fine. I know that you're developing this over a period of time. So.
And this will help with me planning too and trying to fill up my day, because we stretched this week's lesson into next week's lesson, and I was already banging my head like, okay, how can I fill up this day? We already did all the resources we just planned for 1 week. Now how do I stretch it into 2? Well, this helps. Now I can stretch it.
Yeah, and they can keep practicing the different parts, and so that there's so much that you could do with that.
Yes. Oh, here's the pen. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. I'll make it a gift for you.
Oh, thank you so much. Now I have a